Hello, how are you? Today I'm going to teach you how to reduce as much visceral fat as possible in 30 days. This visceral abdominal fat is very dangerous for our heart, for our liver. It worsens blood sugar control, increases inflammation in the body, and it's very important that we control it, not just for aesthetic reasons, but mainly for health reasons. And in 30 days, we can already see very promising results. I'm going to tell you everything you can do to speed up this process in a healthy and responsible way. You're going to love this video, so stay until the end. You won't want to miss it. Before we start, I want to ask you if you struggle with this fat. Have you been gaining more weight in your midsection? Write to me about your relationship with it. I would love to see your comment. The first thing you're going to do in these 30 days is to reduce as much as possible or even eliminate sugar, sweets, desserts, white bread, white pasta, white rice, white potatoes, basically all types of high glycemic index carbs that quickly turn into sugar. And I'm telling you this because your body doesn't know when glucose reaches your bloodstream, whether it came from a piece of white bread you ate or from a spoonful of sugar itself. And why is that? White bread, pasta, and all those foods I've already mentioned to you quickly turn into sugar, into pure glucose, and the absorption rate of these carbs is extremely fast. And especially if you eat a significant amount, you'll get a rapid glucose spike because this food moves very quickly from the stomach to the intestine and from the intestine into the bloodstream. When your brain notices there's a really large amount of glucose there, what does it tell the pancreas? Hey, secrete insulin. This glucose is way too high. It can't stay like this, especially because this excess glucose is actually bad for the brain, for the blood vessels, for a lot of things. So the brain manages this, tells the pancreas to secrete insulin to store it, to remove this glucose from inside the cell. And then where does it send it? Think about it, preferably to the visceral abdominal fat. Of course, it can go to other places too, but mainly if you eat a lot of excess calories, a lot of simple carbs, in large amounts, right, in a short period of time, this is much more likely because of the insulin spike that happens. So this visceral fat really benefits from these foods. So when you eliminate all of those foods at the beginning, the impact can be dramatic. But that doesn't mean you need to follow a completely no-carb diet. Look, that's not the idea. The idea is to replace those carbs with healthy carbs, carbs with a lower glycemic index. So instead of eating white bread, you can make bread at home yourself. I have lots of recipes with chickpeas, flaxseed, with psyllium, and so on. You can swap out pasta. You can even replace sweets. I have many recipes here on the channel that offer a favorable glycemic profile, a better choice for reducing the risk of abdominal fat accumulation over time. I'll leave these recipes down below in the description. The second thing you should do when you eat carbs is to combine them with the good combo, which is protein and fiber. So instead of starting your day eating toasted bread with jam and orange juice, which a lot of people do, you're going to make a change. Try making your own bread at home or buy a whole grain bread, truly whole grain, where the first ingredients are actually whole grains. There's a video here on the channel teaching how to choose a quality bread. I'll leave it down below in the description. And what do you put on this bread? Add some fiber, a protein, a healthy fat to slow down the glycemic index. So you can put some tuna with cottage cheese, make a spread. You can add a bit of chia or flaxseed to that spread. It turns out great. If you don't like fish, you can substitute it with chicken or boiled egg. The idea is that you always, along with the carbohydrate, consume protein, fiber, and healthy fat to bring that glycemic index down, to make the digestion slower and more gradual, and to avoid that insulin spike I explained to you earlier. For lunch or dinner, ideally you should try replacing pasta, boiled potatoes, white rice with healthier carbohydrate sources. Chickpeas, lentils, beans, peas, soybeans are all excellent options that you can include in your meals. Remember to be generous with the salad, lean meat, and healthy fats, such as avocado and olive oil. Another interesting detail is that you can add flaxseed, chia, or psyllium throughout your day because they are very versatile. They go well in yogurt for breakfast, they work well sprinkled over salad, and you can even use them to make some breads, cakes, and other recipes. Try to avoid that excessive consumption of carbs that many people end up having, especially those high glycemic index carbs. When we think about this combo of protein and fiber, we're also considering that this protein helps build and maintain muscle mass, which is excellent for metabolism, and that this fiber is very beneficial for mucilage, satiety, not just immediate satiety, but prolonged satiety as well. Another thing you'll try to manage over these 30 days is your sleep and how you deal with stress. It may actually sound just a little funny to talk about this in the specific context of reducing visceral fat, but we already well know that excess cortisol is very closely linked to increased abdominal fat. because our body naturally interprets lack of sleep and stress as a constant danger. So it triggers us to secrete cortisol, which is the main hormone responsible for that fight or flight response to danger. And what does cortisol do? This hormone is a hormone that is focused on survival. So think about it with me. When your body wants to survive, what does it want? To save energy. How does it save energy? By burning muscle, which is exactly what you don't want. And how does it store more energy to make sure you live longer? In the form of fat. So the more cortisol you have in your body, the harder it is for you to reduce visceral fat. There's also the fact that poor sleep alters the secretion of hunger and satiety hormones, like ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, and leptin, which is the satiety hormone. So if you sleep poorly, it becomes harder for you to make good food choices the next day. This is scientifically proven. It's not about willpower, it's physiological. And there's also the issue of sleeping poorly and not being able to train at the same intensity or even train at all, right? Some people say, I'm too tired, I'm too stressed, I'm not even going to the gym because I don't want to waste my time with that. I'm already exhausted. So all of this is very interconnected. I have a playlist here talking about how to sleep better, which is related to what you can or cannot eat in those moments right before sleep, and it's also related to what we increasingly call sleep hygiene. Changes you can make in your daily life, in your home, in your bedding, in your routine, in your sleep, in the temperature that are scientifically proven to help improve your sleep. I'll leave this playlist down below. And there's also a playlist on anxiety and stress about how we can, through changes in habits, lifestyle, and diet, try to reduce a bit of this anxiety that is affecting so many people. I'll leave these playlists down below to help you. Another thing you need to pay attention to is invisible calories. In other words, those things you don't notice, but that are adding carbs, sugar, glucose, and calories to your daily routine. These calories are often found in liquid form in juice, drinks, energy drinks, iced tea, or even the sugary matcha drink you had. Anyway, that juice that looks like it's from a carton, more natural, fruit pulp, but in reality, it's highly processed, industrialized, and extremely concentrated in calories. Be careful with alcoholic beverages as well, because many people forget that they are very high in calories. And alcoholic beverages actually have two major problems, mainly because just 1 gram of alcohol contains 7 full calories. That means it has significantly more calories than carbohydrates or protein, like those found in bread or meat, which only provide 4 calories per gram. Alcohol has 7 calories per gram, and fats have 9 calories per gram. So you can see that alcohol is really high in calories just by itself. But there's also the metabolic issue, because depending on the alcoholic drink you consume, a cocktail, a mixed drink, a beer, there will be sugar in addition to the alcohol. And that's a recipe for chaos, right? We know that the liver doesn't like alcohol. That's a scientifically proven fact. And we know that excessive alcohol consumption greatly increases the accumulation of intrahepatic fat around the liver, fatty liver disease, which is a marker of inflammation in our body and really does increase fat accumulation in the visceral region. In fact, it's very common for us to know people who drink a lot of alcohol and have a very protruding belly, but thin arms and legs. So ideally, you should avoid consuming liquid calories. The best liquids for you to consume are water, tea, and coffee without sugar. A lemonade without sugar, right? Maybe with sweetener if you prefer, or even flavored waters, where you take some water, add ice cubes, cucumber, mint, a squeeze of lemon. It tastes delicious. Another super important thing during these 30 days is to exercise. Exercise really helps a lot. Exercise improves energy expenditure, metabolic signaling. Of course, there are definitely certain exercises that are much more effective, right? Especially when it comes to reducing visceral fat specifically. Walking improves energy expenditure, improves blood sugar levels, and increases insulin sensitivity. So it's a very interesting option because it's much easier to start with walking if you don't do anything yet. Start with 20 minutes, walk outside, because when you walk outside, you have to come back home. So if you walk 20 minutes out and 20 minutes back, that's 40 minutes and you barely notice it. So start gradually like this. If it's too hard at first, go 10 minutes and come back 10. The key is that it should be gradual but consistent so you can get the benefits. Of course, strength training, right, weight training helps a lot because it increases muscle tissue, which is the most metabolically active tissue we have. It uses glucose, it absorbs glucose independently of insulin, improves metabolism, and changes body composition. So the more muscle we have, the faster our metabolism and the less fat we accumulate, right? These are counter-regulatory pathways. So muscle anabolism reduces the accumulation of fat in our body. So of course, ideally, you should always do this, preferably with the guidance of a physical education professional and clearance from a doctor to ensure complete safety regarding this. There is a type of exercise that is scientifically proven to be the most effective at mobilizing abdominal fat, which is HIIT, H-I-I-T. It is essentially a form of high-intensity interval training, which means that you alternate a very intense, high-energy physical stimulus for your body with relatively short periods of active rest so that you can have a brief mini recovery before starting the next cycle again. And then you can do several sets of it in your workout. This exercise mobilizes a lot of abdominal fat and has an extremely high EPOC expenditure, meaning it keeps burning fat for many hours after the workout. So if you have at least a basic level of training, if you're at least somewhat trained, it's really worth trying HIIT. Nowadays, there are several YouTube channels, videos from physical education teachers prescribing different types of HIIT, including beginner-friendly options with support. I think that if that's the case, if you have medical clearance, it's worth taking a look and starting to do it at home, even without any equipment. It's very practical. Another thing that's very important during these 30 days is to take care of your gut health. We know that when our gut is well nourished and functioning properly, it communicates with hunger, with metabolism, with glucose, and with inflammation. We know that what really harms gut health are ultra-processed foods, excessive sugar consumption, when a diet is low in fiber, when there's little real food. There's a lot of processed food. This will probably cause you worse gut function, more inflammation, which can also lead to insulin resistance. So once again, the most important thing is for you to think about fiber. Fiber plays that role I mentioned earlier of improving insulin secretion and the release of food from the stomach to the intestine, but it also acts as a prebiotic, meaning it serves as food for the good bacteria in the gut. Bad bacteria love to consume sugar, but the good bacteria love to consume fiber. And they ferment there and produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, for example, which is excellent for reducing intestinal permeability and improving intestinal inflammation, which is exactly what we want at this moment, right? So improving gut health as a whole also helps reduce visceral fat because it changes inflammatory markers. So it's very important. I have a playlist here talking more about foods and the gut, and I'll leave this playlist down below to help you as an additional resource as well. Another thing that's super important for you to be able to control during these 30 days to get results quickly is to adjust your routine and have at least a minimum amount of planning. When you can't even minimally organize what you're going to eat, what time you'll go to bed, or when you'll do your physical exercise, everything becomes very unstructured and it's much easier for you to slip up. So remember that you can take one day a week if you don't like to cook and pre-prepare some foods, leaving them already organized in the fridge or freezer. I have many playlists here with lots of breakfast, snack, lunch, and dinner recipes that can help you. There are snacks, pizzas, sweets, there's everything. So I'm going to leave lots of recipe playlists here to help you. If you can, make your own menu. It doesn't have to be anything super elaborate, but for example, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'll have this for breakfast. Then on Monday, I'll have this for lunch, this for a snack, and this for dinner. This helps you visualize, because if you don't organize your routine at least a little, when it's already 3 in the afternoon, you didn't bring anything for a snack, you're buying a chicken croquette or eating stuffed cookies at your desk, or having coffee with a piece of cake at a bakery you stopped at. So it's very important that you have consistency, that you try to make your own recipes as much as possible because you'll know what went in there, how much went in, you can control the ingredients and the quantities better, and it becomes much easier for you to stay on track, right? This also applies, as I told you, to exercising. Really treat it as a commitment as if you had a personal trainer waiting for you. It's going to be 3 times a week at this time. Good, so it's going to be at this time. And sleep as well. Set a time to go to bed. Nowadays on your phone, you can already set an alert. Like dimming the lights, lowering the noise, improving your body temperature, so you can really start getting into proper sleep mode, getting off your phone, and starting to improve that whole part as well. Organization is always very important and we benefit a lot from it. Tell me down below then, which of these benefits motivated you the most and which ones you're going to start putting into practice today. After 30 days, come back and tell me here how much belly fat you managed to lose. I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, that helps me a lot. Share it with someone who will like it, with someone who needs it. Let's expand this chain of kindness. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.